our boy Richard Taylor! Good afternoon.
Look at fucking Kyle's face.
It's extremely uncomfortable to have a parsnip stuck up your arse. So I'm told. I don't have any personal knowledge of this experience. Honestly, I just walk a little bit funny. But I'm told it can happen and require a visit to a hospital's anal extraction clinic. I do not know for certain what happens to the parsnip once it's been extracted, but my research tells me that you do not get given it to bring home, even if you take a carrier bag along with you. I don't want to cast aspersions, but I am aware of the term a perk of the job. Personally, I would be very nervous before accepting an invitation to supper at a doctor or nurse's house, especially if casserole or a roast dinner are on the menu. When I think back to the night of my conception, I remember it being very clammy on the back seat of my parents' 1960s family saloon car. Initially, in fact, I thought they'd had a breakdown and were out the back trying to get it started again. Because I kept hearing my mother saying, "Push it harder, Dave, push it harder. Push it harder down there." I imagined it was a two-man job because my father's name is Barry and not Dave. Whilst this was going on, I was just hanging with my crew in my father's ball bag. My tiny little tadpole homies. We decided to go for a swim upstream into a tunnel and out into my mother's stomach. Fortunately, I found an egg to eat because that was all I had for 9 months. I ended up being very tired, very hungry, and quite claustrophobic, so decided to be born. As I leapt out, I saw a nurse coming towards me with a pair of scissors and saying something to my mother about needing to cut the cord. I was like, "Holy flip, lady." Flip was the strongest word I knew at that time, having only just been born. Holy flip, be careful with those blades and cut the right thing. I might want to father my own kids in 20 or 30 years' time. I bought a 3D printer recently, which I used to make a 3D printer. 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 which I used to make a 3D printer, which I used to make a 3D printer, which I used to make a 3D printer. You've forgotten your words. Which I used to make a 3D printer, 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 which I used to make a 3D printer. Which broke.